Hello and welcome to Gun Solo 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. I am your host and storyteller, Royce Rosewood. Thank you all for the very kind and generous comments on the first chapter of this series. It's really encouraging. I was already excited to play more Vampire today, and now I'm even more excited that people are following along and wanting to see what's next. I also want to see what's next. In the last chapter, we met Levi McKinney, the rat catcher who lives on the planet Bruish, in a city called Garrett, which appears to be some kind of, a larger, kind of dirty, kind of gritty port city on this planet. He was turned into a vampire by an immortal called Samantha Douglas, or Ironheart, a sea vampire. And is now sort of a fishy vampire being. He accidentally killed his beloved, Opal, and a pirate who was helping him out named Savannah Adams threatened to expose him, and he killed her too. So one of the things I've been thinking about that I didn't quite specify, but I think we should, is that Levi, as a sea vampire, always needs to stay near a body of water. That's something we'll keep in mind as we move forward as one of his vampiric limitations. So let's go over our status of all our characters just to refresh so we know where we're at. So our living characters, we have Samantha Douglas, Mayor of Garrett, Heart of Ice. We have Theodore Riley, Orphaned Urchin, my apprentice and ward. And of course the immortal Cassandra Perkins, aka Ironheart, Siren of the Deep. And for the rest of our things, for our skills, we have rat catching, poetic disposition, sailing, and bloodthirsty, which is checked, which means that has become part of our vampire's nature. For resources, we have a painting of a ballerina frog, rat-catching equipment, treasure map in a bottle, and a trained rat horde. And the mark, of course, neck gills and fishy eyes. I wear a scarf and avert my gaze. Let's see what happens next. All right, when we left off, we were at prompt number 5. All right, 7 minus 3 is 4. So we head forward to 9. And I did roll one of the alternate prompts, but we're not yet in a place where we can use those blue prompts. You develop a system for feeding. What is it? What happens to those who die? Create a skill that reflects this. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to draw an oracle card and get some inspiration. All right, well, this seems very relevant. We've got water, king, mermaid. Right, we've already established that these are sirens, right, who sort of draw people in with song. I'm going to create a skill called song and pageantry, where Levi pretends to be this mermaid, says, "Oh, come swim with me," and is singing this beautiful song, and then lures people in to feed. So I need to create a new experience, and I'm going to put this on the original Levi McKinney memory. The full memory is now: I am Levi McKinney, born in the town of Garrett on the world of Bruish. I eke out a meager living as a rat catcher and vermin hunter. Now I feed on the denizens of Garrett by luring them into the harbor with song and pageantry. 9 minus 1 is 8. So that'll put us at 17. You commit a despicable murder, but not for the sake of feeding. Why? Check a skill. Remove a mortal character if you like. Levi wants to get revenge on Samantha Douglas, the mayor who wrongfully accused him of piracy and sent him into a life of rat catching. He's going to use rat catching to do it. So we're going to check rat catching. So here's the full memory now. Samantha Douglas tries me for piracy. Though innocent, I am forced into a life of rat catching. I set a rat trap for the rat of a mare and kill her for my revenge. Cross her off. Next prompt. 9 minus 2, 7, which will put us at 24. You are forced to adopt a new name. Why? Probably all the feeding that's been going on and the murders. I think the people of Garrett are probably starting to get a little bit suspicious about what's going on. And I think they start to call the creature the Garrett Ghoul. And I think Levi takes on this moniker and embraces it. They call me the Garrett Ghoul, a moniker which I embrace. And I put that experience in the sort of the Levi McKinney identity memory as our identity is shifting. All right, our experiences are filling up. We might have to transfer some of these to a diary soon. Let's see what our next prompt brings us. All right, 8 minus 2 is 6. Oh, we're just really cruising, aren't we? That takes us to 30. What social mores have you forgotten? Lose a checked skill. Well, the only checked skills that we have are rat catching and bloodthirsty. So I think we will have to lose rat catching. I'm going to add another experience to that Samantha Douglas memory and call it, that was my last trap. Monsters have no need for jobs. Oops. 5 minus 4 is 1, which will put us to prompt 31. You fall into a deep slumber for 100 years. Strike out any mortal characters. Okay, yeah. I was just saying this is probably about the time where we should probably move on in time, and the prompt is leading us right there. So, well, Theodore Riley has grown up and lived his life and is long gone. I'm going to add this to our Theo memory. I sleep for a century in the cold bed of the harbor. When I awake, I visit Theo's grave. All right. So this is the point at which things have sort of moved on. Society has sort of started to progress. Anyone that we would have known, except for Cassandra Perkins, who's immortal, has moved on. Let's see what we get next. All right, 6 minus 6 is 0, which means we stay at prompt 31 and moved on to the second prompt. You recognize the descendant of a dead mortal who features in one of your memories and feel compelled to make their acquaintance. How do you share knowledge about their ancestor without revealing your monstrous nature? How is this conversation awkward? Gain a contemporary and unexpected skill. Create a mortal character, a new friend. Opal, I don't think, would have had children before she died. So Theo is the one who goes on, has children, and so maybe it's like a grandchild of Theodore. All right, let's roll for a name. So a male name, 12. Augustus. So we'll call him Augustus Riley. And tell us about Augustus Riley. Whoa. Okay, so we see some like axes. Axes, make me think that Augustus might be a soldier. So I think in the intervening time, now this Garrett and maybe sort of the surrounding regions have sort of been plunged into this war. But without access to previous technology, it's swords and halberds and axes and armor. And so Augustus is a soldier in these wars. And Levi signs up and they get assigned to the same battalion. And Levi realizes who Augustus is, the grandson of his former ward. Also, at this point, I'm going to have to move one of our memories into a diary. So I'm going to choose the Levi McKinney identity memory, and I'm going to put that in the diary. Physical resource that can then has the possibility to get lost. A battered war journal. New memory. I am in a battalion with Theo's grandson, Augustus. I say his grandfather must have been a great man. Augustus eyes me suspiciously. Hi, friends. The prompt also asked me to create a new skill, which I neglected to mention, but I created the skill of soldiering. 2 minus 1. We've moved forward 1. Going to put us at 32 at one of the alternative prompts, our first one of the game. You meet a former victim socially. They recognize you. It is awkward at the least. Create a mortal character. Former victim's name. Okay, female, 88. Serafina, 72. Pearson. Serafina Pearson. And it says socially, and they're in a time of war. So I'm imagining it's some sort of like dance hall. The soldiers are on leave, and so maybe she's a nurse. All right, so I created a new character, Serafina Pearson, a battlefield nurse. And here's the memory. Serafina recognizes me in the dance hall. She chases me out enraged, having been seduced by my dock water pageantry before. Once again, I need to move something else to my diary. I'm going to put the Samantha Douglas memory and the rat traps and all of that into my diary, which now has 2 memories of a total of 4. All right, 1 minus 3. So that takes us back 2 to 30. And again, we are at alternative prompt. A mortal child is born in a nearby community bearing one of your marks. Create a mortal character. What is the name of this child? 39, male. George. Bearing one of my marks. Well, maybe Cassandra's had a child? All right, what's the name of this nearby community? Use the surname. 38. Hartman. We'll call it Hartsville. We'll call him George Perkins, after Cassandra Perkins, fishy-eyed child of Hartsville. I'm going to put the siren song memory in the diary. I hear rumors of a fishy-eyed child in nearby Hartsville. I suspect Cassandra. Next prompt. 3 minus 6 is -3, and another appendix prompt. A peasant accuses you of being a vampire, but is not believed. They are punished severely. Create a mortal character. Okay, 78, female, Pearl. 69, O'Donnell. So I know it says peasant, but in this time and in this setting, we're going to call her like a fellow soldier. All right, I'll put this with the Theo memory. Pearl, a fellow soldier, accuses me of vampirism and is dishonorably discharged from our battalion. That's our next prompt. All right, 8 minus 3 is 5 to 32. The regular prompt this time. You keep a prisoner. Why this particular person? Why don't you feed upon them? Create a character and a skill related to keeping them captive. I'm not sure about this one, so let me draw an oracle card and see what it inspires. So it's sort of like a tool shed. Let's give them a name. 96, male, William. 17, William Crawford. I'm imagining trench warfare, even though we've got swords and axes for some reason. It's all just a big mishmash. So I think he's got some sort of like hidden shed in the trench. And I'm going to say this prisoner is an enemy spy who Levi is using for information. And so the skill that I'm going to give him is espionage. I'm adding this to sort of the battalion and wartime memory. I keep William, an enemy spy, prisoner in the trenches, and his information helps me advance the ranks. All right, 8 minus 4 will put us forward by 4 to 36. The deceptions you practice fool even yourself. Combine any 3 traits to fabricate an experience that you believe to be true. All right, we're going to add this to the Serafina memory. She must be delusional. No one of my rank and genius could possibly be so monstrous. So I think we're going to stop it there with Levi enmeshed in the wartime battles and the dramas and the accusations, progressing the ranks with secret information from his prisoner, and starting to believe and setting up the possibility that we might forget his true nature and his monstrous tendencies. So I think we will leave it there. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you enjoy this, please like, subscribe, and share. And of course, comment. I always love to read those comments. So this is Science Fantasy Awesome, and you are awesome.